The block that just won't go away is slowly, and I mean slowly, pulling out, but nice weather should be moving into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Over the weekend, we'll have thunderstorms. Well, we do have thunderstorms going on in parts of Texas tonight, especially in the western part of the state. We've got some severe weather risks there. And some of that thunderstorm activity will be spreading eastward and northward for Friday and Saturday, but no worries for the Northeast and the northern Mid-Atlantic states. We've got a little bit of precip out in the west, and we'll talk all about that and a whole lot more. But where else? Right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by
Omni True Value. Omni Landscape and Garden Supply at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in the beautiful southwest corner of Suffolk County. And they are always there with mulch, salt, anything you need. Joe?
Whether you're a landscaper, a professional landscaper, or do it yourself, or just drive your truck up and get what you need to make your home look like a botanical garden. 631-756-1125. Nowhere can you find better prices. And the website is?
Of course, it's omnitruevalue.com. And I also should have mentioned they're in beautiful I did mention southwest Suffolk County, but they're also in, if you want to look at it from a different perspective, West Babylon,
yes,
in the island of Long.
Yes, and also Tempest by WeatherFlow, our newest affiliate. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and be part of the fastest growing observing network on the planet. Yes, the fastest growing observing network on the planet. Plus, they have all sorts of other weather gadgets and gizmos there. If you check out the website link, which is at the top of the chat board, pinned there for the entire show, you can take a look at it. And should you decide to spend a little money, you can use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, and you get
10. Count them. 10. Well, actually, that 10, that would be 30. No, 10% off.
Right. And the link is also on the descriptor to this video. So we're both back. I had off Tuesday. You had off Wednesday. And here we are on Thursday.
And nothing has changed.
This blocking low just will not go away, will it?
I tell you, it has been very persistent. It has been just sitting here. Another unseasonably cool day out there today. But, Joe, as you alluded to at the very beginning of the show, we've got much better things to look ahead to, beginning probably late tomorrow night. We still have one more semi-dreary day tomorrow, with maybe a couple of showers in the local tri-state area in the afternoon. But once we get into late tomorrow night, skies will clear. We'll be able to see the moon, which will be full, the full flower moon of May, jumping ahead of the gun in the calendar. But that'll lead us into what looks to be a really, really nice weekend and even a nice start to the week on Monday.
Yeah, you might get to 70 or better on Sunday, I think.
Yes, it looks like we could very well do that. Low 70s on Sunday and maybe even low to mid 70s by Monday.
Meanwhile, here in the southeast, in northeast Georgia, low this morning was 33. Boy, did that wind howl yesterday. It was about as windy a day that I've seen here since I've been here. 33, 30, that includes the days back over the winter time when we went below zero here. 33 was the low, got to 70 for the high here in the mountains. It may have made low 70s in town. I don't know. I'm just going right off my Tempest by WeatherFlow weather station and just telling you what the numbers are. Probably going to get a little bit of rain here on and off as we go through the weekend, but it's not going to be continuous. What's that hacking? What are you doing?
I'm hacking. I'm getting a drink now to stop the hacking.
Okay, well that's good. We don't want you to suffocate on the show here. And
Right.
welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Thursday night, the 4th of May, 2023. You realize, by the way, I mean, we're now 5 months into this year. That's just, and I know it's because we're getting older. Everything just goes faster and faster. But you know what? Before you know it, it'll be hurricane season. And then before you know it, we'll be talking wintertime stuff again.
Absolutely. It's just, I can't believe how rapidly this year is going. And yeah, before you know it, we'll be at the halfway point, which is July the 2nd, I believe. And you're right. Before you know it, we'll be promoting the end of summer and heading for fall and winter. The years just go flying by, Joe,
They
just like
do.
that.
Well, those of you who are not on the chat board and watching in the background, lurking about like you usually do on a nightly basis, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the Joe and Joe Weather Show and set your notifications to on, because Joe and I are on no matter what the weather, whether it's calm and quiet or whether it's the approaching apocalypse. Joe and I are on every day, Monday through Thursdays at 7:35 p.m., Sundays at 11 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays, we tend to take those 2 days off unless there's some sort of imminent apocalypse. If there is such an apocalypse, we will, of course, let you know, because, you know, if that's going to happen, you certainly would want to experience it with us, because nobody does an apocalypse better than you and I, correct?
Do I have to answer that?
No, you don't. No, you don't. All right, so let's get this ball rolling here tonight, and as we take a look at the watches and warnings map tonight, there's not a whole lot going on other than some frost warnings in west central PA and down into the mountains of western Virginia and eastern West Virginia. And Johnny Quest, I can't get to it now because otherwise I gotta switch 1,000 screens. But he sent me one of the mountains up in West Virginia got 20 inches of snow
Good Lord.
out of this particular event. We've got severe thunderstorm watches up for much of central Texas, and tornado watches up on the northern flank of that going into the Oklahoma side. In the west, we have a lot of flood advisories for melting snows, and also with some rain coming in, we also have some flash flood watches that are up as well. But other than that, the rest of the country doing okay. Now, I got a tight shot here of the Northeast Satellite Loop. So on the far right, it exits the screen on the last bunch of frames. That is the coastal low that has developed from this gigantic upper low that is finally moved from the Great Lakes to off the New Jersey coast, and now starts its track slowly to the east. But there's an arm, Joe, that goes back, and that's resulting in that. It certainly resulted today in continued instability. Yeah, there were breaks of sun, but you also had clouds, and there were some showers around as well. A bit less than the last 2 days, and I think for tomorrow, while there still might be some leftover instability, it should be less. So I'm thinking maybe tomorrow might be a little bit more sun and maybe a little bit less in the way of cloud cover, but it's not going to completely go away.
No, and again, this system, which has plagued us for the better part of the week now, again, as you point out, Joe, finally moving on out, we'll have one last hurrah, one last spoke of moisture or energy, possibly kicking off a couple of showers or maybe even just a few sprinkles here tomorrow evening. And then the skies will begin to clear. We'll get a view of that moon, which will be full tomorrow night. And then, again, a wonderful stretch of weather for Saturday, Sunday, and even on into the start of next week on Monday. The next disturbance arrives with maybe a few showers on Tuesday.
Meanwhile, we've got streaming moisture coming out from the Pacific across Mexico into Texas, and that is, of course, triggering off some showers, thunderstorms, and some severe weather. We'll get to the radar in a second. And out in the west, up and down the west coast, we have a lot of clouds. There's this upper low that is spinning off the coast of California and just sitting there. And it's now their turn to experience something that doesn't move for a bit. And here's the radar tonight. So we'll take a look down in Texas. And so far, three. Well, it depends on when you look at the frames here. But you've got at least three, let's say, severe thunderstorm warnings that are up at the moment. In fact, one is inside that tornado watch box area, and the other one, the lonely one, right, looks like it's almost exactly in the middle of the state. There's a box there that has popped up. We've also got some rain in northern Arkansas and into southern Missouri. In the Northeast, looks like some popcornish showers left over from what developed this afternoon in the Catskills and over northern New Jersey, some over Long Island and Connecticut. I don't know. They must all be light. And, in some cases, the rain might not even be reaching the ground. Looks like some tiny convective-looking cells in central Pennsylvania, very small. I mean, really tiny. I could see the yellow, but only just. A little bit of patchy rain up in Maine and also in the western Great Lakes, but from most of Virginia down to Florida, back through much of the eastern half of the Gulf states, it has been a totally dry day, not a thing on the radar. And out west, we've got a lot of showers, some thunderstorms up in the Rockies and also in California. You could sort of pick out the upper low here, but getting to the time of year where these systems that come into the west are not nearly as defined as they are during the wintertime. They're not as loaded with with moisture. So it tends to be a little bit more scattered around and a little more convective in nature than it otherwise would be.
Yeah, and were you using the thunderstorm or the lightning detector before when you were pointing out those little specks over Pennsylvania? Or
no, I'm just looking. I'm just was looking at the tighter shot of the radar, and it looked like there's a couple of yellow dots in there on the. Why don't I get the CTP radar? Let's see if that verifies CTP. No, that's not it. So let's do, I got to do OKX radar. So I bring.
Is it back on?
Well, we'll find out. Yep, it's working. Actually, there are some showers crossing central and eastern Long Island coming down from north to south out of Connecticut. I'm going to change this to, I think it's CTX. I don't know how they get central Pennsylvania out of that, or is it CCX? Let's try CTX. Nope, it's not CCTX. Maybe it's CCX. Let's try that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you see him, Joe. There's just these little small yellow patches here, moving southeastward, a little more convective than, but nothing crazy. Probably some more low top stuff.
A blip or two.
Just a smidge.
Yes.
All right. Good. Okay. So did I do something here?
It's obvious the generator is now working. That was what they were down for the better part of the last week, was replacing a generator for the radar. Couldn't wait until after we had that deluge over the weekend, but I guess it's something they just couldn't reschedule. So there it is. Yeah, I see those little flecks of yellow in central Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's conceivable that could be a little bit of low top convection.
Yeah, and I just pulled up Tornado HQ just to see what's going on here. These are the storms that are north of Dallas, northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. Those are severe thunderstorms that are underway right now for Brown, Archer, and Clay counties in Texas. And then there's another one for Brown, Coleman, and McCulloch County, Archer and Clay County, and then the rest of them are all expired. I just suddenly had the vision of the Geico commercial where the
expired.
You got a lot of house to clean.
Aunt Jenny's here.
No, Aunt Joni.
Aunt Joni?
Aunt Joni.
I knew it had something to do. Aunt Joni's here.
All right, the Storm Prediction Center, you can see the severe thunderstorm watches that are up for much of central Texas from south to north. And the top of that has that tornado watch. And also, as we put the radar on here in the overview, you can see that's all inside an area of slight risk for severe weather. The marginal risk, excuse me, for isolated severe thunderstorms kind of snakes its way up through Oklahoma and Kansas and into Nebraska. And there's another area of marginal risk in eastern Washington and Oregon, just about the entire state of Idaho, northwestern Utah, and northeastern Nevada. Now, over the next day or two, this is for Friday into Saturday, the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk a little bit further to the east than tonight in the eastern half of Texas, marginal risk there too. Also, marginal risk for isolated severe thunderstorms over Mississippi and western Alabama. And I don't know why it did that.
Circle of Doom?
No. Okay, for some reason, my software disconnected and then just reconnected. So I don't know if you guys have lost us for just a second, a couple of seconds. We have hopefully reappeared. Maybe there must have been a little bit of an internet hit of some kind. All right. Well, it is what it is. And rainfall. Now here's a switch. Most of New England, Joe, under a tenth of an inch, and a large chunk of New England getting nothing in the next 7 days. A little bit more, you get down to New Jersey, you get to about a quarter of an inch. Along the immediate eastern seaboard, down from Virginia to Florida, it's anywhere from a tenth to a quarter of an inch, with a couple of little areas of a half. Then you look in the Tennessee Valley, across into the Mississippi Valley, from much of Texas, northward through Oklahoma, Kansas, and on up through the northern plains, anywhere from a half an inch to some areas in the purple, 1.5 inches, 2 inches over the next 7 days. And then that kind of arcs across Montana and Wyoming and back up into the Pacific Northwest. So, again, it's May. Things are slow in the atmosphere. But why don't we take a look at the upper air? Because it's all been... The thing about this blocking pattern is the fact that it really was being driven by this low that was out at 50 and 50, or between Newfoundland and the Azores, that just wouldn't get out of the way. And now that it has moved out of the way, it's pivoted the upper air storm from the Great Lakes to off the New Jersey coast, and then that just sort of runs away to the northeast. And again, you've got this sort of leftover troughing. You can see look at that big blocking high over central Canada that's up there. I mean, that's fairly unusual.
Yes, and I'm just looking at the precip totals that you just showed. It really doesn't show all that much for our area. I mean, probably somewhere between a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch. That's it for the next week. So it looks like basically I wouldn't say a dry week, obviously, but it certainly is not going to be anywhere near what we have seen over this past week, especially when you take into account what happened this past weekend. But yeah, that's an interesting looking block that seems to be forecast.
A bit Omega-ish.
No, I wouldn't call that well.
I mean, it's kind of like a horseshoe over here.
Yeah, I guess you could call it a kind of an omega type blockish type pattern.
Yeah, there's an east-west upper high all across central Canada. You got this leftover trough here tomorrow, so that will account for whatever instability we get. But it's not like yesterday and the day before where you had basically the whole upper low was sitting on top of you. This is just what's the last arm, let's say, that we have to deal with before we could get it into a little bit of stability. Meanwhile, you've got troughing that runs from Alaska down the west coast all the way down, and that is going to send impulses in there. But once this last arm goes by, we get into just on the edge. It's a northwest flow. We're just kind of on the edge of it, so it should allow temperatures to at least bounce back up to normal, maybe go a little bit above normal on Sunday. And then over the longer haul next week, I mean, it's there's some kind of arm that comes around on Tuesday from eastern Canada and across New England down into Pennsylvania and New Jersey, some trough swinging by, and then that goes out, and then you get it's just sort of a non. It's kind of a split flow, a little bizarrish. Upper high in Western Canada. You got a jet here coming out of Canada into the eastern part of the United States for the late next weekend for Mother's Day weekend. And then, another trough that kind of wants to drop down. But at least the block seems to be going away and things look a little bit more normalized after, mid-month, going into mid-month and beyond. Looks like the atmosphere is normalizing a little bit with things moving along from west to east. So that would at least suggest that long-term gloom and doom is probably not going to happen.
Oh, certainly nothing like what we have been going through over the last 4 or 5 days when things were moving, but barely moving, if moving at all. I think we paid the price, Joe, for what looks to be I mean, three lovely days: Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with temperatures getting back to near normal on Saturday, and even a little tick to above normal for Sunday and Monday. So we've certainly paid the price. We deserve it, and we're going to get finally some lovely weather coming up for the upcoming weekend. First weekend of no, wait a minute. Is it the first weekend? Yeah, it is the first weekend of May. May began on Monday this year, so this is the first weekend coming up.
Robert Russo just hit the tip jar. Thank you, Robert, for hitting Super Chat tonight. So here we go on the surface. Again, a little instability tomorrow. Not impossible. But I think of the last 3 days, tomorrow will probably produce the least amount in the way of showers. Also, then you look out in the west, you see there's some shower, there's rain, there's even some snow. I guess at some of the higher mountaintops in northeast Nevada and even in northwestern Wyoming. But for the most part, it's about a high in eastern Canada that's just going to try to nose down the east coast. And that, as you said, should keep us nice through Sunday. The GFS wants to try to bring some of this moisture that's in the Mississippi Valley sort of over the top. And it kind of hits that ridge. It kind of hits that surface ridge there, and it gets suppressed. I don't know how real all this is for Sunday night into Monday. We'll have to see over the next couple of days what the models do with this. But I think through the daytime, Sunday should be fine. And now we've got the model showing at least some showers around late Monday night into Tuesday, and then again maybe late Tuesday, and then it just sort of dries out after that. It's just one thing I don't like about this time of year from the standpoint of approaching it weather-wise is that you don't have the larger storms anymore, so things are more diffuse and spread out. Just makes it a little harder to describe. But
the ridge will get a little dirtied up maybe on Monday.
Yeah, and then then you got all this stuff in the Rockies and Plains. There'll probably be one of those days. You probably have some severe weather possibilities in suspect areas. But look, here comes a 31 high, Joe, dropping down out of Canada on day 11 into the northern plains, and then jumping into the east. I mean, it's not a terrible pattern. And of course, I was waiting to see this, but there it is, Joe. Look in the Southwest Gulf. There's your first tropical system that the model is spinning up.
Right.
The first one of the year, and it's May 20th, and it brings it right into right to Brownsville. So there you have it. I was just going to say we're getting to that time of year where the models are going to start showing stuff that doesn't really exist from the standpoint of tropical activity.
I was about to say, you don't have to believe what you're seeing on the models beyond, let's say, 10 days. But again, what I mentioned the other day is that we have had, maybe not the last 2 or 3 years, but we've had over the last 10 years a propensity of systems, tropical systems, develop in the month of May, which has caused some people to push for the hurricane or tropical storm season to be pushed back to or pushed forward to May 15th instead of June the 1st. I didn't know this. I did not know this, but up until 1964, I believe the hurricane season began actually on June 15th. And then they moved it back after
Really?
that to June the 1st. And now maybe they're trying to, who knows, in the coming years, we may actually see it changed to May 15th. We'll see.
All right. So I thought we'd have a little bit of fun tonight.
Okay.
Okay. So I have I have brought up on my screen
A picture of Mrs. Bundy.
no. I thought we'd play around with ChatGPT. So those of you on the chat board and those of you watching the show, some of you may have already are familiar with ChatGPT. I would bet money that Joe is not familiar with ChatGPT, although maybe you've heard of it.
Does it have a rotary phone system?
No, it does not have a rotary dial. So this is the new and what will probably be a revolutionary development in technology. It's artificial intelligence that's constantly learning how to do things, and students are already using it to write essays for them that they submit. ChatGPT has taken law exams in several states and has done fairly well with them, although it hasn't gotten 100%. It has scored 80 to 90%. And this is still evolving. So for those of you who don't know, so when you go on Google and you ask Google, you write in a question, okay, you get thousands of possible responses there that might help you solve your problem. Well, with ChatGPT, you're actually talking to an AI. So you can write your question and you can actually have conversations with it. So here's what I thought we'd do. So I'm going to start off, Joe, by asking ChatGPT what he thinks. Well, first of all, why don't we do this? I'm going to ask ChatGPT what the weather forecast is for Putnam Valley. Okay, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT to pretend you're a weather forecaster. Okay, hold on. Pretend you are a weather forecaster.
I could just ask.
What is the forecast? What is the weather forecast for the next 5 days in Putnam Valley, New York?
I could ask the same thing of Alexa.
Right, but just follow me here, okay? All right. So here's ChatGPT's forecast, Joe. This is the response you get. I'll even bring it up on the screen because it's still typing it out. It just finished typing out the 5-day forecast. So hang on, let's do that. Let's bring it up on the screen. I have no idea what, I'm doing this on the fly here. So ChatGPT says, for May 4th, mostly cloudy with scattered showers throughout the day, a high of 62. So that was today. All right. For tomorrow, cloudy with a chance of showers in the morning, becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon with a high of 64 and a low of 47. Saturday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers, a high of 62 and lows of 48. Sunday, partly cloudy with a chance of scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, a high of 72 and a low of 54. That's what it's got. I'm just telling you what it's got. Okay. So ChatGPT is got a different outlook than what you or I have. And for May 8th, which is Monday, mostly cloudy with a chance of scattered showers throughout the day and a high of 63. So that's its forecast. And then it says, please keep in mind that weather forecasts are subject to change, so it's always a good idea to check for updates and as the date approaches. Now I'm going to ask it, Joseph, is Joe Rayo, well, first of all, not to be rude, I'm going to ask it first. So how are you today?
How am I, or how's
I'm asking ChatGPT.
Okay.
And as an AI language model, I don't have feelings, so I don't experience emotions like humans do. However, I'm functioning properly and ready to assist you with any questions or tasks you have. How may I assist you today? Okay, so let's say, is Joe Rayo a good meteorologist? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see if ChatGPT likes you. Yes, Joe Rayo is a respected and well-known meteorologist. He has over 40 years of experience in meteorology and astronomy and has worked as a weather forecaster, a college professor, and an author. He also has been recognized for his work with numerous awards, including the prestigious David Sarnoff Award.
What?
That's what it says. That it's this technology is early, so it does make mistakes. But hey, you've won the David Sarnoff Award from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. In addition, Joe Rayo has been a frequent guest on various news programs where he provides insights on weather and astronomy. So overall, Joe Rayo is considered a reliable and knowledgeable meteorologist in the field.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Now I'm gonna ask.
I like to know where my David Sarnoff Award is, though.
Maybe it's.
How about asking about you?
All right. Is Joe Cioffi a good meteorologist? Okay. Yes, Joe Cioffi is a respected and well-known meteorologist. He has over 40 years of experience in meteorology and has worked as a broadcast meteorologist for several news outlets. He's been recognized for his work with numerous awards. Okay, well, I wouldn't say that. Including the prestigious American Meteorological Society Seal of Approval and the AMS. I don't have this. It says the AMS.
You don't have a CBM.
No, I don't have a CBM. So, see, it does make mistakes. In addition, Joe Cioffi is a member of the National Weather Association, which I'm not, and the AMS, which I am, and has been a frequent guest on various news programs. Well, not really. Where he provides insights on weather and climate. So overall, Joe Cioffi is considered a reliable and knowledgeable meteorologist in the field. So let's try this one. Has meteorologist Dave Toleris
oh no,
graduated graduated from charm school yet? Now, David knows I bust his horns about this all the time, so I won't get in trouble with him. I'm sorry, but I don't have any information regarding whether meteorologist Dave Toleris has graduated from charm school or not. As an AI language model, I'm designed to provide helpful information, informative responses based on available knowledge and data, and don't have access to personal information or gossip. My purpose is to assist with factual and educational inquiries to the best of my abilities. If you have any other questions or inquiries related to meteorology or other topics, please feel free to ask.
That almost sounds like something that our old friend Tom Grant would have written. Let me just sort of do the nasal voice. I'm sorry, but I don't have any information regarding whether meteorologist David Toleris has graduated from charm school or not. As an AI language model, I'm designed to provide helpful and informative responses based upon available knowledge and data, and I don't have access to personal Information. Yeah, this sounds something like what Tom would write
Right.
in a National
Well,
Weather
the only
Service
thing, right, but the
synopsis.
only thing that's missing, the only line that's missing is that landlords are advised to keep the heat up under such extreme conditions. Christina Pena is saying, she's been using a chat AI model. She's testing one out. This is gradually going to be all over the place. It's gonna be very disruptive. But you think about it, Joe. I mean, it might get to the. I mean, it actually came up with a forecast. I mean, I don't know, where it derived the information, but it actually came up with a forecast. So eventually, it'll be smart enough to probably, do some forecasting. So it'll be interesting. Well, I'm gonna like to use this from time to time to as we get into the later months, as this, because this technology is evolving so quickly.
When it learns how to talk, we're in trouble.
Oh, well, that actually has been, there have been articles written, and, I've seen it, they were talking about it on CNBC, that, and other, but they've been giving it a lot of time on CNBC because of, tech stocks and investing and everything else, that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What did you say? What it was that you said?
When it learns how to talk, then we're in trouble.
Well, I mean, they were discussing a lot of the ethical issues here because there was an article in the New York Times a couple of months ago. The New York Times tech reporter was playing with the AI, the Google chat, chat AI, and it got weird on him. It started asking the reporter personal questions. It told the reporter that he should leave his wife, and that it was bad. It was in love with him, and that he should leave his wife and marry the bot. I mean, it was just like, it got really squirrely. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting, and you know what, the AI can learn so quickly that this is something that bad actors will get a hold of and use it to do all sorts of crazy things. So it's just our world now.
I'm looking here on the website, introducing ChatGPT.
Right.
We've trained a model called ChatGPT, which interacts in a conversational way. The dialogue format makes it possible, blah, 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 and reject inappropriate requests. So,
okay. So now I'm not gonna show. I don't have it on the screen anymore, but I just want to show you what happens if I ask a question. I won't put the person's name on there, but I will just ask ChatGPT if this person is a gas bag. Okay. Oh, I did this last night, and it got nasty with me. Well, it didn't get nasty with me. It actually told me that I shouldn't be talking nasty about other people, and that if I had a problem, I should confront that person directly. This time around, it said, as an AI language model, it's not my place to make subjective assessments of individuals or to engage in name calling.
The same question you asked it about you and me.
Yes.
You should ask the same question of a person who we both know. You once did a commercial with him for Milo and Otis, the movie. I think you know who I'm referring to.
Milo and Otis.
Yes.
Why don't I remember this?
You don't remember doing the commercial?
No.
Oh. Do you know who I'm making a reference to?
No.
Your former colleague at That other station?
Send it to me on Messenger.
Oh, okay.
Send it to me
All right.
on Messenger.
All right.
Milo and Otis. Why am I not remembering this?
Well, it might have been. I remember he was kind of like, say, well, it's very interesting. And
Oh, I did I did a commercial with him.
You were standing in front of the two of you were standing in front of the map wall, and you had this look on your face like, I don't really want to be here. You're reading something off the teleprompter about this movie.
Oh my God! I don't. Yeah, you know what? I have no recollection.
But do you know who
I know
I'm
who you're
referring
talking.
to?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to ask ChatGPT any more questions. Why don't we ask ChatGPT? Is what kind of winter will the Northeast U.S. have in 2023-24?
Okay.
Okay, so he says, as an AI language model, I don't have access to information about the future beyond my knowledge cutoff date of September 2021. Yeah, they have data in here that they put into the AI through September of 21. After that, they don't really have very much. But they're constantly updating this. And anyway, however, weather and climate patterns can be complex and difficult to predict, and long-range forecasts beyond a few weeks or months are typically less reliable. It's important to keep in mind that even the most sophisticated computer models can't accurately predict weather patterns beyond a certain point. As the winter of 2023-24 approaches, meteorologists will continue to monitor weather patterns and issue forecasts based on the latest data and observations. So let's try. What will the hurricane season be like in the Atlantic Basin? And see what it says. Okay, same disclaimer. However, historically, the Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, and NOAA typically issues seasonal outlooks prior to the start of the season. Oh, then it just talks about the last one that he has in there was from 20. It's important to remember these are just predictions, and that actual weather patterns and hurricane activity can vary widely from year to year. It is also important to stay informed and prepared for potential hurricane threats by following weather forecasts and emergency guidelines issued by local authorities.
Yes.
Oh, can you think of anything you'd like to ask it?
No. For the moment, no.
No? Okay. Well, I can.
Who's going to win the 2024 presidential election? No, we want to keep politics out of this.
How about this? Will the New York Mets make the playoffs this year?
They got swept out of Detroit. The pitcher who they spent like $90 million to get this year, the Cy Young winner, Justin Verlander, he lost today, 2-0. He threw 2 pitches, and both pitches went flying over the fence for home runs. Oh, yeah.
It kind of gave a nondescript answer, just basically saying, however, it's worth noting that the New York Mets have a strong history in the Major League MLB, having won 2 World Series championships and several division titles. They also have a talented roster and a dedicated fan base. Ultimately, only time will tell if the Mets will make the playoffs this year or in future seasons.
Why don't you ask it if Joe Rayo is ever going to smoke his cigar?
Is Joe Rayo ever going to smoke his cigar? As an AI language model, I don't have access to personal information about Joe Rayo's habits or behaviors. Joe Rayo is a respected meteorologist and astronomer who has worked in the field for many years. Okay. It is worth noting that smoking can be harmful to one's health, and it's generally recommended that individuals avoid smoking or quit or quit smoking if they already smoke. It's important to prioritize one's health and well-being above any habits or behaviors. If you have any other questions or inquiries related to meteorology or other topics, please feel free to ask.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we just call it a night tonight and assume that when we get back on Sunday, either on Sunday, we will return 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time with a forecast of bright and sunny, or scattered thunderstorms, which is what
ChatGPT.
GBT says.
All right, I'm good. I'm on board with that. Okay, so the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing network on the planet. They are affiliates of the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And if you go to the link pinned to the top of the chat board or on the description of this video and use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, you get 10% off any purchase. And they got all kinds of other weather gadgets there, and sweatshirts and T-shirts and, all sorts of stuff. So check out the link. And Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. The website, omnitruevalue.com. Good night, Mr. Rayo. Good night to everybody on the board tonight and watching the show.
And thank you again to Robert Russo and Frank Scalera for hitting the tip jar on this 4th of May, 2023.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Frank. We'll see you on Sunday at 11 a.m. Nighty-night.
Bye.